This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the middle of the South African bushveld. We're on Djuma Private Game Reserve and you're joining us for your own privately guided safari. This is Safari Live. Ready.
Standing by.
You are live.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this magnificent piece of wilderness. We're part of the 8.5 million acre Greater Kruger National Park, and it's a great joy to be talking to you here from a little spit of land on the western fringes thereof called Djuma Private Game Reserve. We are operating on probably about 6,250 acres, and I may well be stuck in this tree. I am indeed stuck in this tree, everybody. There's a radio that's stuck in the tree with me, and we're okay. My name is James Henry. On camera today is David Eastall. Hello, David.
Hi, Dave.
No, you're Dave. I'm James. He's forgotten his name. The man's quite out of his head. Right, on foot today we have Stefan Winterboer. He's wandering about with Jean Dre in the dreadlocks. Brian is on camera with Brent. You've met him already. And also the diminutive and ultimately elegant antelope that is Jamie Patterson, being filmed by The Hobbit, which is Willem Doornbraak. It's a great joy to have you with us. Please talk to us, hashtag Safari Live, questions at wildearth.tv. For the next 2.5 hours, we're going to be exploring this magnificent wilderness. Right now, Jamie Patterson is with lions.
And welcome on your live safari experience. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon I have Willem on camera with me. And don't forget that because it is a live safari experience, that means you can send through your questions on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Now, typically, safaris don't happen in reverse, and that's because I wanted to show you something that is lying off in the bushes off to my left. Definitely not a sight for sensitive viewers. It is a half-eaten buffalo. An old bull that was taken down by the Nkuhuma pride of lions on the maybe about 2 or so days ago. They haven't even managed to finish it off. Now, what I was trying to do was try and find you where the lions have gone. There are 5 lionesses with 8 adorable little cubs lying just down, I think, in this river system that runs below the buffalo. And that would be a good place for them to hide. It means that the cubs are safe and secure away from any scavengers that might come looking for the buffalo. And at the same time, on this warmish afternoon, provide a little bit of shade for them. But I think on a day like today, here in the Sabi Sand, it is incredibly windy. It's quite warm, but it is also blowing considerably, and that has a tendency to make all of the animals out here a little bit more on edge, a little bit more nervous. While we go searching for the lions and where they might have placed themselves, I'm sure that Steph is going to be walking very, very carefully on this windy afternoon.
Good afternoon and welcome to the bushwalk segment of this afternoon's drive. And I am Stefan Winterboer, and behind the lens today is Jean-Dre Gerding. And it is exactly right. We are on foot in the middle of Djuma Private Game Reserve, the exact same place where Brent and Jamie are coming to you from and where James is sitting in his tent. And our mission today is basically to follow around this drainage line over here. It's a windy day, so we want to get out of the wind because that is exactly what the animals are going to be doing. They're going to be getting out of the wind for the most part. Animals don't like wind. They rely on their sense of smell, their sense of hearing, and their sense of sight. And 2 of those 3 are taken away when the bushes are shaking around and their senses are befuddled. And so for that reason, we've decided we're going to follow a drainage line, which is basically like a creek bed. and we're going to follow it down to its source and then along it, see if we can pick up anything lying in the sand and any goodies along the way. My favorite are all the smaller insects, spiders and all the creepy crawlies and all the hairies and scaries, and that is exactly what I'm going to be keeping my eye out to show you today. As well as I should say, some of these keen survival tips and tricks that I pick up that I find quite interesting. Today I've got something special just for you, so keep on watching. I have got it in my bag waiting to show you a bit later. Now, the best way to move through the bush is to look for a game trail, and that is exactly what I'm going to be doing right now, is looking for a game trail to follow here. Obviously game like these trails, we're going to start there. But without further ado, we are off to James in his tent.
Now you may be asking yourself, why on earth would a man at work have a cooler box full of drinks with him? He doesn't, is the answer. What he has here is a freezing box, and the freezing box is very important if you do not want to lethalize the animals that you collect. Out in the bush, one of the characters I haven't introduced you to is Taylor. Taylor is a new presenter here, and she is basically fossicker-in-chief, which means she's looking for little things for us to view under our microscope. Now, we don't want to kill these things, we want to release them eventually, and what she has found here is a particularly interesting ant called Polyrhynchus, which I think is quite a nice name. Unfortunately, Polyrhynchus has proved incredibly resilient to all forms of attempts to freeze it. And so we're going to try and get a view with the microscope of Polyrhynchus. Hang on a second, there we are. There is Polyrhynchus's abdomen, and the big thing to notice are those two spikes just before the abdomen. That's how you know this is Polyrhynchus and not someone else. Now, Polyrhynchus is actually quite a delicious tasting thing, believe it or not. Now, I know that looking at this slightly astounding picture, isn't that beautiful? Look at the incredible colors, black, copper, gold, honey-colored little hairs, and those two spikes. Look at the little hairs on the abdomen there. As I was saying, quite delicious to eat. Polyrhynchus's abdomen tastes like a lemon drop. So I don't think I'm going to eat this particular one, frozen and pleasant as it might be, just because it's a windy day and I don't really feel like a lemon drop right now. But you can actually take this very ant. I'll show you. I'm not going to eat him this time. If you would like me to eat him, let me know. #SafariLive. There is a beastly wind blowing, but you basically put that into your mouth. There goes a snail shell, and it tastes like a lemon drop. It's actually quite pleasant. I've done it once or twice before. I've just had me lunch though, so I don't think I'm going to eat Polyrhynchus today. We're going to release Polyrhynchus back into the bushveld just shortly. Then, of course, terrifying thing for anybody to have to see, especially if it crawls over your face in the night. Look at this, David. It is Kogolochi. You see that? Now, Kogolochi, of course, the local term for a cockroach, Kogolochi, terrifying animal. And what I'm going to show you, thankfully this one is dead, I'm going to show you the spikes. Incredible spikes on the legs. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Now those spikes help Kogolochi to climb up your wall when you're trying to chase him. They help him to climb on your ceiling when you're trying to hit him with your broom. And he's able to climb on just about any surface. Astoundingly magnificent. And also, look at the wings. Oops, that's the legs. They're the wings, filled with little veins, and those veins help the wings to stay stiff with hydraulic pressure. I think this is quite a remarkable thing. Isn't that great? Okay, we're going to see what else we can find out here to put under the microscope. We're also going to introduce you to Ronald the Rover the next time you come over to us. Let's go and see what Brent Leo Smith is up to.
Our wind is howling today. Now, apparently Brian told me there's a front coming in from the coast. Now, there's the thumb who is attached to Brian. And of course, my cameraman is Brian Joubert. My name is Brent Leo Smith. Sometimes, together, we are known as the Killer Bees. That's because we find all the good stuff. And we're hoping to do that today. And we're heading towards a waterhole on Arathusa called Red Dam. And maybe there might be some predators around there, possibly some elephants at this time of the day, and it is quite cool for this time of the year. This wind is keeping the temperature down, only about 27 degrees Celsius, which is about 81 Fahrenheit, and I'm hoping that there's going to be lots in store for us this evening as we wander live around the African bush. And remember, if you've got any questions for any of us, please send them through. And that's also in case you don't believe we're live, so we can answer them for you, and you can do that by using the hashtag #SafariLive on Twitter. Now, in this area, we're looking particularly for maybe 2 to 5 different leopards. The dominant male leopard around here is Tingana, and he passed through Djuma last night, and quite often he likes to make a meander towards the Red Dam waterhole, so always good to have a squiz around there. There's a female leopard called Shadow that also comes through this area, and recently there's been quite a few sort of almost semi-nomadic young females trying to set up territory all over the place, so they have been popping up from time to time, so there's always a chance that we might find one of them. So fingers crossed. If not, it's not always about the big hairies and scaries. This is literally an absolute wonderland of fascinating creatures, birds, bugs, trees, all the way down to the grass and even the sand. So hopefully we'll be able to find something to keep you entertained. Okay, so as we travel through an area like this, you can see it's quite green, which is unusual at this time of the year. We are in our dry season. We're also in the worst drought in recorded history in South Africa. Now, most of these green trees are of one species called a magic guarri bush. Now, it tells me that there is good underground water here, and they're not very, very palatable, so not too many species eat them, although because of the drought, the elephants have been eating them. Now, I suppose one wonders, why is it magic? Brian, do you know why the guarri is magic?
I do know why it's magic.
Oh, do you now? There we go. Brian's been on the back of the vehicle on many a safari with me. Might have picked up a trick or two. So the main reason it is called a magic guarri is to do with some of its cultural uses. And it is a protection against witchcraft. And in particular, if you have been bewitched and someone is trying to kill you, one of the means to kill you, especially coming through to the summer months, is to send a lightning bolt. And how to protect yourself and your home from a lightning bolt, just conveniently keep a guarri branch around. Brian, I think we might need lightning protection. There isn't a cloud in the sky yet, but with this wind, you never know. So we'll keep our magic guarri to protect us, not only from lightning, but all sorts of bad spirits. Now, there's also another reason it might be considered magic. It is used in water divining. So to find water under the ground, what you would do is take a much bigger branch than this one, and you would carve it. And in carving it, you would then walk around with a forked stick, and where it points downwards, you put your borehole, or you dig a well for water. Now, fascinating enough, we won't go too much into the Latin and scientific names, but in this case, this one is called Euclea divinorum. And of course, the divinorum comes from divining. So not only is it magic, but it's divine. So we're about 2 minutes away from the waterhole. So we're going to start checking in the shade around here, and just hoping that we're going to see a big cat slumbering. Also, it's going to be quite difficult to hear any elephants at the moment, but maybe they're having a drink, because it is very dry at the moment, and they do have to travel sometimes quite big distances between food and water. Now, we do have many bird species in this part of the world, but this wind will make it quite difficult, but we will keep an eye out. Okay, let's go see what's at the waterhole. Remember, we are 100% live. You are enjoying the middle of Africa at the exact same time as us on your very own privately guided safari, and we're on foot. We're in the tent. We're looking for lions, we're looking for leopards, we're looking for everything that might be out here in this African wonderland. Okay, here's the waterhole. Let's have a peek. Oh, there's a hippopotamus. Oh, and he's got some friends who disappeared. Maybe some little terrapins on his back. There we go. Oh, this is a male hippopotamus. And the reason I know that is he's all on his lonesome. In the bigger water holes where all the ladies are, the big dominant hippo bulls will be residing. So it's difficult to see when most of his body's underwater. But this is either a particularly old man or a young man. An old man who's too old to challenge for breeding rights, or a young man who's not quite big enough just yet. And we do have some birds as well. Always nice to see some of our feathered friends. And a pair of blacksmith lapwings and a Cape glossy starling. Now, the blacksmith lapwing we will always find associated with water. You won't find them far away. And although they're being quiet at the moment, they get their name from their call, which sounds like a blacksmith tinkering on steel. Dink, 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 dink. I think I'm going to sit at this water hole for a few minutes, make sure we haven't missed anything while we do that. It seems like Steph's got some tricks of the bush to show you.
All right, and I am almost ready to do the first part of my survival tip for this afternoon. What am I going to do with an egg and a nachi and some elephant dung? Can you guess? Well, let's see. All right, first we do is we prep ourselves a little fire. So I use my fire steel to set the elephant dung alight, which I'm hoping I do pretty easy here. It's so dry at the moment that setting elephant dung alight shouldn't be too much of a problem, although you never know with these things. Right, why am I using elephant dung? Because it smolders fantastically well. So I'm using a fire steel. There we go, we got some smoke, that's all we need. Gently coax. There we go. So we're gently coaxing. We did it. Now, we let that burn a little bit. Nice, same. Now, while that is happening, I'm going to prepare my nachi. So, what we're going to do is cut it just off of center. A nachi, if you're wondering, is very similar to an orange, only it is a little bit smaller and tastes a little bit different. So now we've peeled the top. Now I'm going to take out a segment, eat it, and try and hollow it out, which is not working like that, but there we go. We're going to hollow this one out. Have a look over here. Taking out all the pips. Eating along the way, it's important, you know. Nothing goes to waste. All right. I'll save some of that for later. Put it over there. Are you guessing what this is yet? Oh. No, you haven't guessed what it is just yet. Getting there. Alrighty. You're almost guessing it. Now, when you come back, I'm going to have some more surprises for you. We'll show you how it's going. Stay tuned. All right, now let's coke a little bit of heat. So, you've just asked, a new viewer has just asked, hello, welcome to the show. You've just asked if the elephant dung stinks. No, it doesn't stink. It's made of wood and grass. It smells like a very woody fire, if I were to put it to you that way. Alrighty, I think I'm going to need to get another piece of elephant dung. This one is burning unevenly. So we're going to light one fire with another one. And I think let's go for this one here. Because we need it burning in the middle so that our cup sits perfectly in the middle. But while I'm getting this fire going, we're going to send you over to Jamie, who's got an update for you.
We have tried valiantly to get around to these lions where they're hiding in this river system off to my left, but unfortunately no such luck. And that's just one of the realities of a live safari experience, is that sometimes the animals don't do exactly what it is you were expecting them to. I have a feeling the Nkuhumas have been unbelievably successful recently in terms of their hunting, and I have a feeling that there's a chance they might even abandon this buffalo kill to the vultures and the hyenas and the other scavengers. And the reason that I say that is because they had enormously full bellies when they managed to hunt it, when they first killed it, and now they've got even fuller bellies. And as a result, with 8 little cubs to protect and look after, they might decide it's just not worth the risk of hanging around a kill. Let's go nice and slowly into here and see if you can spot them before I do. We're looking for flashes of tawny lying in the shade, black-tipped tails, sheltering from the wind. We're just squeezing past some trees now. There they are. We can just see them lying up in the shade. Almost invisible, despite the fact that they're not more than 20 meters or so away from the vehicle. Amazing how well they are hidden. It looks as though they're doing some serious lion sleeping hidden behind the trees. I'm going to do one more attempt at shifting the vehicle around, and since that's not terribly exciting to watch, let's go over to the tent and the innumerably entertaining James Hendry.
Hello everybody. What we're going to do quickly before we go back to TV for our special loyal internet viewers, let's have a quick look at the Rover view. Very good, well done. Rebecca's operating that with such pizzazz. And there is the Rover view. Ronald is sitting very lonely. You see, he's now missing desperately his friend, Henry the hippopotamus. And I know that some of you were deeply offended by the fact that I called the hippopotamus Henry instead of Peter the other day, because of course we used to have Peter in the pan. I don't really mind what you call him, of course, and the thing is, he doesn't really mind either. Right, we've got 30 seconds back to TV, and then I'm going to show you a flower, after which I'm going to show you a little bit about the lions and where they live. Most of you will know where they live, of course. So now let me prepare this flower under the microscope so that when our TV audience comes back, they think I'm slightly more professional than I really am. Good afternoon again and welcome back. It's lovely to have you with us. You are on a live safari. Do not forget, please talk to us. #Safari Live on Twitter. My name is James Hendry. On camera is David, who has now remembered that he is in fact David. Also out in the bush today, Jamie Patterson looking for lions, Brent looking for leopards, and Stefan Winterboer cooking an egg, believe it or not. Right, have a look at the microscope feed here. We've got a beautiful flower to show you. This flower is called the Devil's Thorn. Now, I can't imagine a flower that could possibly look less like it comes from the bowels of hell than this one. It's a stunning purple color. And what you can see there, the yellow bits, the male parts of the plant, and those slightly honey-colored little bits there are the pollen. And those pollen bits are just being deposited. Now, there is a nasty wind, as you can see. I think we'll maybe save that for a little bit later. I'm going to show you one more thing. Let's go back to the microscope now, if you don't mind. There we are. Now, those tracks, you see those tracks? Those tracks are actually reflecting ultraviolet radiation or light, and that attracts insects, which will in turn come sort of use it as a runway and go into the flower and pick up that pollen that's hanging over the runway there. You can see that. And then as they make their way out again, they'll go into another flower and in so doing pollinate it, which I think is a rather brilliant idea. Now, back to me, please. There we are. Come outside with me, everybody. Let's not dally inside. We're on a safari. Over here, we have an exceptional piece of artwork, as you can see. David, do you think this is an exceptional piece of artwork? It is, I think, exceptional. Now, I'm just going to show you a little bit about the lions of this area. Here we have the Nkuhuma pride. That's who Jamie's looking for at the moment. I'm just going to get another colored pen. And they are 8 little cubs, you can see there. They're very beautifully illustrated by me. There are 5 lionesses. I ran out of space for them, but that's the Nkuhumas. They're like that. Nkuhuma is spelt like that. And their territory extends as follows. It's about 6,000 hectares, which is about, you can multiply that by 2.4, and you get to roughly 13,000 acres. That's the Nkuhuma pride. Then down on this little piece of land called Cheetah Plains here, we have the Styx pride, and the Styx pride is 3 lionesses and 6 little cubs. Unfortunately, these cubs, David, as you know, have a pox. Yes. They've got mange. They've all got mange. There we are, that's their mange, and they extend in an area roughly like that, and it's about the same size as the Nkuhuma pride territory. So that's the situation with the lions here. Now, I don't know about you, but it's nearing tea time for me. I wouldn't eat an egg for tea, but apparently Steph would.
And we are getting there. You can see our eggs starting to cook and bubble quite nicely. I must be honest, my eyeballs are starting to cook and bubble quite nicely as well. And for those of you who have just joined us, we are cooking an egg in a citrus peel from a nachi on top of an elephant dung fire that I made with a piece of steel and a magnesium stick, and it's taking its toll. I must be honest with you, the smoke is absolutely ruining my right eyeball, but that's okay, I've got 2, I don't need another one. As you can see, when you blow this fire, much smoke comes out, and it increases the heat. There are bits and pieces of wood inside elephant dung. Let me show you over here. And it's the wood, excuse me. This smoke is insane. It's the wood that catches fire and gives you the heat. Have a look at that. It's also incredibly good for headaches. Apparently, there's lots of old wives' tales about elephant dung fires helping for headaches. Oh, I'm going to lose it. Now, as a reminder, everyone, this is live. And as you can see, Liz, you just asked me if this egg is going to pick up some citrus flavor. I'm almost certain that it will do, to be quite honest with you. I'm almost certain that it will pick up a slight citrusy flavor. I'm actually hoping for it because I don't have any salt or pepper or tomato sauce or ketchup here. So I'm hoping it does. Anyway, I was just going to say, the flame seems to be getting okay now. We're starting to see a nice whiteness appear on the top of that egg. And while we're waiting for the egg to cook the rest of the way, Jamie has got those beautiful lions.
And we do indeed have the beautiful lions, but see if you can spot them. A beautiful afternoon here live from the African bush. The lionesses are really truly content to be in the thickest vegetation that they can possibly be in. Now, they are not more than 30 or so meters away from our vehicle, and all they are is shapes of tawny hidden behind the leaves. And they look as though they plan on spending a great deal of their afternoon out here. And that's just one of those things, if you're going to do a live safari, is that the animals are not always going to be cooperative. They are 100% wild, and they do their own thing when it suits them. Now, my name is Jamie, and at some point I would really love to introduce you to the Nkuhuma Pride, for those are the lions that we have just a little way away from our vehicle. Unfortunately, since they are playing hard to get, we are probably going to leave them for now, since we have such a short time that we can spend with you and show you all of the magical things of the African bush, that we're probably going to leave the lions for now and hope that when we come back they will have decided to pop out and come and feed off their buffalo, which is right behind us, so you won't be able to see it at the moment. Hopefully they'll decide they'll have to walk out into the open to go and have some dinner, and then perhaps they'll come out then. There are cubs there. There are tiny little cubs, 3 different ages. The oldest are no older than roughly about 4 months of age. And I cannot wait for you to have a chance to see what a lion cub looks like. They are definitely one of the cutest animals out here in the African bush. But for now, they're having a lazy Tuesday afternoon. That is all that they have planned, and that's what they're going to be doing. We could try and outweight them, but nothing plays the patience game like a lion plays the patience game, and they are absolute champion sleepers. They can sleep up to 22 hours a day, and with full bellies, just imagine the biggest Sunday roast that you've had, or perhaps a Thanksgiving dinner, or maybe a Christmas dinner, or a meal with the family, eaten as much as you possibly can. Well, these lions feel even fuller than that. So that is what they plan on doing. I can just see, and I'm going to try and shuffle forward ever so slightly, because I can see a little cub. It's one of the tiniest ones, it's one of the smallest ones. Also don't want to go over the edge of the cliff. That would not be ideal either. So we'll do this very slowly. Oh, face! Look at that! The head of an adult female. See? She's doing a marvelous job of dozing. Her eyes opening. Oh, hello, girl. Thank you very much. That's Amber Eyes. Now, you shouldn't have favorites, of course, but if I did have a favorite lioness, it would be Amber Eyes. She's not... There you go, look. There's a little one at the back. Just a little spotted face. And back down, just like Amber Eyes. Now, she's not the mother of these little cubs. She is their aunt. And what a cool aunt she is. Whenever there's action, there always seems to be Amber Eyes right in the thick of it. I think we're going to leave our lions for now, let them have their afternoon nap in peace, and we'll come back to them when it starts to cool down a little bit, and perhaps the stirrings of desire for a buffalo lunch is going to be exactly what they are in the mood for. And while we extricate ourselves from the thick and dense vegetation, on an afternoon like this afternoon, it's a very good place to be at the waterhole, and we have a slightly different perspective for you.
Now, everybody, the shot we're going to show you at the moment might give you the impression that there's a lot of water. Have a look at this. Now, that is water, of course, but it is pumped water. It was put there by human beings, and what I'm going to do is show you how very dry it is indeed. Oh dear, Ronald seems to have lost control of himself. We'll have to probably try and fix that. Dear, yes, I don't know how that works. Right. We'll have to talk to our Russian about that. Our Russian, we'll have to fix that. Anyway, there is a tremendous amount of drought on at the moment. We don't have much water. at all. But there are plenty of little things living in the bits and pieces of dead stuff that we have around here, and although the drought has been not very good for the buffalo and the impala and the warthogs and the hippopotamus, it hasn't been too bad for one of our favourite characters here at Safari Live, and every so often we like to just have a quick peek into their home. This is my friend Jerry the giraffe, and Jerry, as you can see, is long dead. Yes, some time back he was killed probably by lions, but in Jerry's nasal sinus, entering through the back of his cranium, we have a colony of stingless bees. Now look at that. You can just see the feelers of the little stingless bee coming out. Unfortunately, they are now a little bit reticent about coming to say hello to us. Come on now. Let's go back a bit and zoom in. There we are. Hello, Mrs. Bee. This is a stingless or sweat bee, and there's a little colony inside there. There's probably a small colony of, I don't know, maybe 50 or 60 little bees. And this little waxy sort of tube or protuberance, they build when it's warm enough. And I think the wind, which has rendered the temperature quite chilly, has probably made them a little bit shy, and perhaps also the thought that they're actually on television now has made them a little shy. Right, so that is the case with the stingless bees. I'm going to try and get Ronald the recalcitrant rover going. While we do that, let's go and find out what Brent Leo Smith has got to show you.
There is one of the sweetest smells in the African bush at the moment, and it's the flowers of the Acacia nigrescens, the knobthorn tree. Now, what I'm really looking for around the knobthorn trees at the moment is some of the beautiful, beautiful sunbirds that we get here in the African bush. And they are proving a little bit difficult in this wind, but we will keep trying to find for you. Remember, this is a live African safari, and we are looking for everything. We're looking for lion, leopard, elephant. And I've been sitting at a waterhole. Unfortunately, nothing came through. So we're going to keep going. Oh, there's a beautiful bird. Remember, hashtag Safari Live for questions. Look at that. It's called a little bee eater. Oh, off he flops. It's going to land again. Now, they quite often like to land on the same perch or very close by. Now, they're called a bee eater because, of course, bees are one of their favorite foods. Now, he's just here. You got him, Brian? And when they catch a bee or a wasp, what they do is they'll beat it against a stick so it doesn't sting them. They're very busy little birds. Absolutely gorgeous coloration on them. It's the smallest of the bee-eater species that we get in southern Africa. Isn't that absolutely stunning? Definitely one of the prettiest birds around. And they're resident here all year, so they don't migrate anywhere. Oh, we didn't go far, at least. I love that little sort of blue eyeliner. And it looks like it's a lady getting ready for a night out on the town with some quite serious makeup, that little bee eater. Hopefully, if we're lucky, we might catch some of the first of the other bee eaters that are making their way down from up Africa, and even all the way from Europe. So the European bee eater likes to spend its time in and around the south of France, on the Spanish coast, and then when it starts to get towards winter, it migrates down to spend our summer with us. So best of both worlds for the European bee eater, and they should be arriving within the next couple of weeks. Oh, this wind is a blustering. We are going to keep trying to find you anything that might possibly be out here. And remember, hashtag Safari Live, and one of us will do our best to answer your questions. But we're going to disappear for a short while, but don't forget to stay tuned after the break, because we might have more incredible creatures, just like that waterbuck. Yeah, beautiful big male waterback. I wonder if he's making his way down towards Red Dam to go have a drink. A nice, impressive set of horns on him. And I do love the shape of their nose. They're a wonderful little heart shape. I'm just going to move forward a skosh so Brian's got a clear shot through the trees. Oh, how's that, Brian? There you go. You can see their nose. Does look like a heart. Well, if you've got a bit of imagination, which we do. And you can see that ribbing on his horns. Now, when they do fight, you can actually hear it great. I don't know if any of you have seen those wooden toys that you grate along the back to sound like a frog. When the two waterbuck bulls fight, you do get that. And unbelievably, for this gusting, incredibly strong wind, the birds are actually being pretty nice to us. There we go. There's a black-headed oriole when Brian's finished coming out of that waterbuck. We can hear him calling. He's in the top of that tree there. Here he is. Another beautiful bird. We're getting the colourful ones out of the way today. A little beater, black-headed oriole, very distinct red beak. He's also got a red eye. I think that might be a bit far. Now, one of their favourite foods is caterpillars, and he's got one. How's that? I was just about to say he likes caterpillars, and then he finds one. It didn't take him too long to scoff it, though. Oh, off he goes. Oh, he's back.
Another one.
He's got another caterpillar. Tiny little inchworms more. Well, they must be struggling as much as a lot of other things that eat plants with the lack of vegetation around. But, of course, there's always a predator for everything. And, oh, he's really going at them there. And wait for him. And as he swallows that, James has got a creature who's about to go swallow some water at the Djuma Pan.
Straight to the rover feed, everybody, straight to the rover feed. Unfortunately, the buffalo has left us. Anyway, that was almost, we got it right there. Let's just zoom out. Let's go quickly back to the dam cam view and we'll try and show you where the buffalo went. But there was a buffalo drinking right with Ronald there, and then he stuck his nose into the camera, and unfortunately now he seems to have gone. Oh, it was going to be so good, everyone. Never mind. He's gone down into the river there. Oh well, maybe he'll come back. You can see him, can you? Oh, there he is. Yes, there he's moving around there. Good. Well, that's the buffalo. While we wait to see what happens with him, let's head across to Jamie. She has a striped dressage pony.
And for our internet audiences, you get a little bit of a sneak peek as to what is waiting for the television audiences when they do return once again. And unfortunately, our striped dressage horses, as Steph described them, giving us a very neat example of the walk across the road, the zebra crossing, ha. They are incredibly nervous though, and it's the wind. The wind is howling through, and it's making them exceptionally uncomfortable. They're jumpy, the leaves are rustling, the wind is blowing, and all in all what that does is it means that they can't hear predators sneaking up on them. And as a result, they're constantly on edge. Imagine what it must be like for them to have to live that way initially. Luckily, though, they've all gathered together, they've got the safety of the herd, and those of you who are sharp-eyed would have spotted the impala that are moving about behind them, the most numerous of all of our antelope species. And I'm really hoping that these zebra decide to stick around and not disappear across into Buffelshoek. Here we go, that's better. Our stripy horsies are relaxing. definitely feeling a lot more comfortable. You'll be able to hear the wind, I think. It's absolutely howling. And welcome back to all of you on your live safari experience. We're sitting right here on the northern boundary of Djuma Private Game Reserve, the boundary between Djuma and a property called Buffelshoek, right across there. And to the north of me, in Buffelshoek, is one of the most sort of stereotypical animals of Africa, the plains or the Burchell's zebra. And I'm going to try and reposition. They've been playing a little bit of games with us, disappearing off, and we've just been talking about how the wind makes them unbelievably unsettled. And what happens is, with all of the rustling, these animals rely mostly, they've got okay eyesight, but they mostly rely on their sense of smell and their sense of hearing. And what that means is, on a windy day like today, they become exceptionally nervous. They can't hear properly, they can't smell properly, they can't rely on their two main senses that help to keep them alive. And they're all bunched together for safety. Look at that zebra there. It's got a missing tail. It's only got half a tail. The one on the left. Oh, I suppose most of you would be thinking that that probably came from something like a lion or a hyena, or a lucky escape from predators. I'm sorry to tell you that most of the time a missing tail on a zebra has come from a fierce argument with another zebra. So I don't know what happened to that poor individual. Maybe it was this one over here. Probably not, but you never know. Zebra are notoriously bad-tempered. And although they don't look terribly dangerous, they do have seriously sharp incisor teeth and are also capable of delivering powerful kicks. And that happens when the stallions fight for access to the mares. It also happens with the females, who have an incredibly strict hierarchy within the herd. What that means is that if a female steps out of line, if she maybe forgets her place and goes ahead of one of the more dominant mares, then she will receive a kick or a bite for her actions. A strict hierarchy maintained. And all of the animals are gathering together. You can see the impala at the back there. Now, we've just been speaking about the fact that our animals are moving away from us on this windy day. Paul, a lovely question coming through from you, and welcome on this live safari experience. Now, Paul has heard that zebra have terrible eyesight, and is that the case? They don't have eyesight like we have eyesight, so they don't see as well as we do on the same level of definition. But you can try sneaking up on a zebra and see just how well that goes for you, because I can tell you right now, it is next to impossible. So their eyesight is not great, but they are very, very focused on any kind of movement. And then, of course, their sense of smell and hearing is good as well. I hate to distract from the zebra, but two impala males that are off to the left of them seem to be having something of a sparring session right at the back there. Where are they? Keep your eyes peeled. Maybe a little bit. Oh, there we go. Oh, I think they've been distracted by lunch. No, we're just having a grooming session now. And that's lovely to see, because we have just come out of the impala rutting season. And over the next few months on our live safaris, we're going to see a plethora of little tiny impala babies, probably around December, January. And the males have only recently stopped flinching every time another big male walks past them. And that's because during our May and June months, the testosterone levels are exceptionally high, and the males are constantly, quite literally, butting heads and chasing females around. And I have to say, I always feel a little bit for the impala ewes, the female impalas. They spend their lives either being chased by the males or pregnant, especially at this time of year where they have to try and find food to provide for themselves, or with little suckling lambs. we're going to see a lot of impala and a lot of animals lying down like that ram just was, as they attempt to shelter from this gusting wind. Now that is an animal that's also supposedly not got the most fantastic of eyesight, so, to go back to Paul's question. And again, it's an animal that I have seen a spot movement at distances of 200, 300 meters. Incredibly, for something that's not meant to be terribly good at seeing things, I think they're incredibly sharp-eyed. And that makes sense, because whilst you can rely on your hearing and your sense of smell and the reactions of the herds and safety in numbers, a short-sighted impala is not going to be very successful at surviving a predation. But for now, on this lazy Tuesday afternoon, most of the animals out here are relatively safe. If this wind continues as darkness falls, it's going to be a completely different story as the nocturnal predators come into their element. Well, since our animals are slowly moving to the north of our traverse area onto Buffelshoek, I'm sure you're wondering how Steph's cooking is going. One of the weirdest sentences I've ever said. Let's go and see how his egg is doing and whether or not it's ready for consumption.
My egg is done. Look at
Righty, everybody, let me just turn my sound on here. What we are looking at is some elephant dung. Sorry about that. The bushwalk signal does tend to get a little bit distressed sometime. Perhaps the flavour coming off of Stefan's egg has freaked the bushwalk backpack out, or indeed maybe Jean-Andre, the cameraman, has run away for fear of having to eat it. In here, we have quite a lot of elephant dung, and I was investigating it with my microscope when you came over to me. And it's lovely to have you with us, by the way. I mean, I know it was sudden, but it's very good to have you here in the tent. I was hoping maybe we'd find an insect or two. We can have a look there on the microscope. And there you can see what it is that is flavouring Steph's delicious meal. And as he says, it's just plain wood. It's wood shavings at the moment. There's no grass in this at all. It's largely just wood from the trees. Okay, come back to me now, and let's have a look-see. I want to show you something about how dry it is. And you may be wondering about fires and that sort of thing. Come over here, and we're going to snap to the rover. There is Ronald the rover now. Now, that's the view he has. And as I said to you last time, there is water. As you can see, there's water there. We've pumped that water. Now, as I turn him round, I'm going to drive him... Oh, no, sorry, not that way. Let's go this way. There's his shadow. You can see Ronald's shape there. We're going to drive down into a dry riverbed, which in turn leads into a dry dam. And I'm going to show you how little grass and vegetation there is for the animals to eat. And so they're having to go further and further afield in the hopes of finding something nutritious to eat. Ronald, don't fall over, please. There we are. Ronald is he's pretty good, you know. He does his job very well, I think. There we go. Some pretty rough terrain there. But just look over the edge of the dam there, and you can see there really is very little for any animal to eat. It looks something like a desert landscape, and that is on account of the fact that last year we had a very dry season. Rainy season with about, I don't know, just over 2 inches of, no, less than 2 inches of rain actually, just under 1 inch of rain last year, and normally we have 600 millimeters or so, which is 2 feet of rain. So sorry, no, I'm talking absolute rubbish. We had 200 millimeters, which is 20 centimeters, which is about 8 inches of rain. So that's all we had, and normally we have about 24 inches of rain. So we had much less than normal, and we've just come out of what is a very dry season. Anyway, that's the story with the... I'm laughing because I'm hearing that the egg is now ready for consumption again. Let's go and look.
We did it. We made an egg out of an orange. Look at the bottom over there. Look at how appetizing that looks. I can't wait to taste it. But first I have to make a utensil. And so I've got a piece of guari bush, and I'm going to snip it off there and there. And there is my fork. And now the proof is in the pudding. Let's taste what this tastes like. Excuse my table manners. A nice citrusy, eggy elephant dung egg. That's very good, actually, yeah? Elizabeth, you've asked if this egg tastes vaguely dungish. Yes, Elizabeth, it does taste vaguely dungish, but on a nice, pleasant, herby feel. And I think the orange actually makes it taste quite nice. You may be wondering why it didn't burn. The answer to that lies in the water that's contained in the skin of this citrus fruit. At a phase change, it doesn't change temperature. So from going from a liquid to a gas, it stays at 100 degrees centigrade, and that is how I'm able to cook the egg. The egg cooks at a far lower temperature than 100 and allows me... that's very good, actually. Should take it back to camp and tell Amanda, our chef, what it tastes like. All right, now to clean up, we simply fold up, chuck it into the all-important pocket. Make sure that we've put out our fire, because on a day like today, we don't want any flames around, and we carry on with our bushwalk. I just want to remind everybody, we are coming to you live, straight out of the Kruger National Park, and we're about as live as what you are at the moment, and so that is all done just for you. All right, and while I get myself packed up and ready to go, I'm sure Brent has got an update for you.
I just noticed something on the road here. I want to double check quickly. I thought I spied a leopard track, but it's not. It is actually a lion track, but that's not what I was looking at. But there is a lion track here. It's a bit old, but it's in some nice light, so we'll show it to you anyway. So this is one of the ways we find all these incredible creatures out here, is we follow their footprints. And fortunately, at the moment, with this very dry climate we have, it's a little bit easier than, say, in the summer. How's that look there, Brian?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, so I'm going to circle it. Now it's a male lion track, and you can see if I do make my track next to it, nearly the same size, not the biggest male lion. Male lion tracks can be the same size as my hand, about the size of a side plate. This isn't the biggest track. He's almost definitely part of our coalition of 4 males. And I wonder when he managed to sneak onto Djuma. I wonder if he's maybe lying in the bushes there somewhere with the rest of the Nkuhuma pride. But until we're 100% sure, I think we should go on a little adventure, see if we can see where his footprints are heading. Now, it's difficult to age the track because of this wind today, but the fact that it's in a relatively good state probably means it is from maybe last night or this morning. And male lions are able to cover incredible distance. They can walk over 25 kilometers in a single night. Now, often the big cats like to use the roads. Now, the reason for that is a lot of these roads are based on old game trails. And secondly, it's far nicer to walk down a nice road, not so many sticks, thorns, than they would if walking through the bush. Now, in the summer months, they really like to walk down the roads because of all the dew. And lions don't particularly like being wet like most cats. So if they can, they'll walk down the road to avoid dew and other moisture. Now, it seems like Jamie has found one of the most beautiful antelopes we get out here in the African bush. Let's go to have a look.
Absolutely one of the most beautiful antelope. In fact, if I had to tell you, I would say that this is probably the most attractive antelope that you could see on any kind of safari, or at least in this particular area. This is a Nyala, and with their large doe-like eyes and their graceful high step, they are almost like the catwalk models of the antelope world. And I can tell you something, this is a little male. A very little male, and the reason I can tell that, because male Nyala and female look totally different. Hello, little boy. But they only start to differentiate between the two when they reach sexual maturity. But if you look very closely, look between his ears, between sort of the middle of his forehead, and you'll see two tiny stumps just poking out of the top of his head. And those are his horns that are slowly growing up. So what we've got here is a teenage male Nyala. You can also tell it's a male by the fluffiness of the ridge of fur along his back. When he's fully grown, he will be absolutely magnificent. Male Nyala go a dark grey colour with beautiful tan stockings and large spiralling horns that grow out of the top of their heads. Now, unlike deer in sort of the North Americas and Europe, the horns of antelope are made entirely from bone, rather than from hardened capillaries and blood vessels that make up antlers. So that is one of the big difference between our antelope and your deer. Look at him slowly moving through, giving a perfect demonstration of just how tricky Nyala can be to spot. A big welcome to any viewers that have joined us for the first time. You are on live safari here in the middle of the African bush. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon I have VM on camera with me, and along with the rest of the Safari Live team, we're going to be searching for all kinds of magical things here in the African bush, like these beautiful, graceful Nyala that have disappeared. Hold on one moment, we're going to go forward a little bit and see if we can't get another view of them for you. Now, the joy of a live safari experience is it's probably the next best thing to being out here in person. And it also means that you can interact with us. So you can send through any questions that you have or comments that you'd like to make. You can do that on #SafariLive on Twitter. Now, if, for example, you'd like to tell me how incredibly beautiful these antelope are, or perhaps there is a deer wherever you happen to be from, or another antelope species, depending upon where you are in the world, that you think is more beautiful than the Nyala, well, you're welcome to contest that with me and send that through on #SafariLive on Twitter. I'll be very impressed, though, if you can beat the beauty of an Nyala. I'm going to make it my mission this afternoon to try and find you a male Nyala to have a look at. Now, it's not just about the mammal species out here. We've also got some extraordinary looking birds. Let's go and find out which particular raptor Brent has to show you.
Oh, it's a very bedraggled looking raptor, and I'm actually trying to get an idea on it. His feathers are not looking the best, and it is the time of the year when some of the migratory raptors start arriving, so I'm having an extra careful squiz. And look at that. Oh, if I had to go out on a limb, that's going to be a difficult one, but welcome everyone to the middle of the African bush. We're busy trying to identify a bird of prey at the moment. I think I know which one that is, so I'll get out my little birding app now. But welcome. Remember, we are live, so you're able to ask us questions. You can do that by using the #SafariLive on Twitter. And as Jamie said, we've got mammals, we've got birds, we've got bugs, we've even got egg-eating humans. So anyway, let's carry on. I'll get a picture of that bird now when we get into a bit of a better area, as he's flown off. He's looking a bit bedraggled. Now, it could be that he's one of the migratory species that have traveled many thousands of miles to be here. Certain of the migratory raptor species can travel from as far of the steppes from the steppes in Russia and Mongolia. That, however, I think could have been one of them. It has traveled quite far. I'm just going to have to double check. So with those aquila or true eagles, they're sometimes very difficult to tell apart. You need to have a look at their gape, how far their mouth goes past their eye, shape of the tail, and The reason I'm thinking it's one of the ones that has gone very, very far is because you can see that those feathers and stuff are not looking too great. Now, Ashka is wondering, what is the most common bird found? Well, there are quite a few different species of common bird, and we've got one of them right next to us. Isn't that perfect timing? And one we do see a lot and often hanging out with the different mammals. There it is, a fork-tailed dronga, a member of the flycatcher family. There you go, Ashka, that's the fork-tailed dronga. So they are insectivores, and they're very good at hunting. And we've actually, lucky enough, got a very beautiful bird here as well. We've got a nice little bird party in this wind. So in that arch of that tree there, Brian, there we go. Go through that arch. You should walk in. There he is. Look at that color. That is called a golden-breasted bunting. Now they're little seed eaters, so he's wandering around on the ground, picking up little grass seeds. Isn't that just the most striking color? Also with that beautiful black and white face mask, and the yellow with that orange coming through. An incredibly exquisite bird, the golden-breasted bunting. Hi, Bill. Bill is in Michigan. Oh, off goes the bunting. And Bill would like to know, do we have crows in our part of the world? Indeed we do. We have indigenous crow species to Africa. We don't see them too often. But Ashka, there's another one of the most common birds we get here. And it is a ring-necked dove. Isn't that beautiful? Not the most striking of birds, but definitely one of our more common species that we see regularly. Okay, so Bill, as I was saying, we do get crow species here. I'm trying to think, I think James has actually seen one of the crow species, and we'll have to double check with him. I'm just having a quick look before we move, because often you find birds in little, what we call bird parties, us birders, and sometimes we know as twitchers. It's not because we've got a nervous tick in the neck, it's because we've always got our binoculars up and we're ticking towards different bird species. But I think the rest of the birds have flown off, so we're going to fly off as well. Hi, Kathy in Washington. Kathy wonders which raptors don't migrate but stay in South Africa all year. We actually have quite a few species, Kathy. The biggest of the eagles, of the aquila eagles that we get here, the tawny eagle will stay here, the African hawk eagles, the African fish eagle, a lot of your smaller raptor species, goshawks, sparrowhawks, all the vultures, the snake eagles are all non-migratory. So your migratory eagles are mostly your booted eagle, your steppe eagle, and of course the most common one we see here, Warburg's eagle. There's always a chance of lesser spotted eagle, as well as another one of the migrants that will come through during the summer months to feast, one would think, on lots of little mammals, but they come most of this way to feed off the incredible insect life we get out here in Africa. And so they generally time their arrival with the first rains and the hatching of all the insects. But enough about birds for now. I'm going to try to find out what that eagle was for you. But while we do that, let's go back across to Jamie, who's with the Nyala still.
I promised you that I would make it my mission to find you a male Inyala, and as it turned out, it didn't have to be such a mission, as just around the corner, this magnificent Inyala bull was standing waiting patiently for his close-up. So there you go. We were talking about the female Nyala and the young male Nyala that we had earlier. This is what an almost fully grown Nyala bull looks like. You can see the completely different contrast, different color, and a much shaggier coat. And there are those spiraling horns as well that we were just talking about earlier, reaching backwards and curving upwards. He's not quite fully grown, but he is almost there, and what a magnificent antelope he is. He's playing shy, which is what Nyala do best. Now, I am saying the word Nyala because I know that this is a word that very often causes a bit of confusion. Nyala. Now, Deborah, that's a really good question. Deborah, who is the self-professed armchair traveller and one of our regular viewers, would like to know what is the theory behind the sexual dimorphism between male and female Nyala, because of course it's the most pronounced of any of the antelope that we get out here. And that dimorphism immediately comes from, it's some kind of reproductive strategy. Now you see it with the kudu and the bushbuck as well, which are part of the spiral-horned antelope family. The reason why it's particularly pronounced with Nyala, I honestly do not know. There must have been something in their evolutionary background that made it more advantageous for the males to be bigger, fluffier, and scarier. Now, if you ever watch a male Nyala compete for a mate, they puff themselves up and do this incredible slow dance, where they move around each other with a very high step in almost slow motion. It is fascinating to witness. It looks like they're dancing at each other, and it's actually what's known as lateral presentation and a way of intimidating another male or rival male rather than risking injury through Nyala fights, because when a Nyala do fight, which we've seen once or twice, it can get incredibly violent, and they do sometimes die from those confrontations. So perhaps, Deborah, that I guess one of the big reasons is that it makes them look more intimidating to another rival in Nyala. But I honestly don't know the full answer to that question and why it's so different with Nyala than it is to kudu or bushbuck. So fantastic question. That's why I love these live safaris, is that I learn along with all of you as well. Mister? You are beautiful, but I think he is relatively difficult to see, and we're probably going to start making our way back towards those lions. Well, those of you who missed it, what lions am I talking about? If you have only just joined us, there is a buffalo kill not far from where we are with 5 adult lionesses and 8 tiny little cubs. They've been playing hard to get this afternoon, much like our Nyala. With their full bellies, they decided that the best spot to be was in the shade where we couldn't see them. I'm really just hoping that perhaps they've just a little bit cooler. But we're still a way away from them, so we're going to travel along and see what else we can find at the same time. Now, a great deal of these Nyala populations in this particular area were introduced. And Aaron in New Zealand, welcome to our live safari. As always, Aaron is also one of our regular viewers. And Aaron would like to know how far throughout South Africa the Nyala are spread. They go all the way down to KwaZulu-Natal, which is a province right down towards the south, and even a little bit further south than that in certain areas. And then they spread right up north towards Pafuri. Now, they're not, as you know, they love these thickly vegetated areas, so they're not desert-dwelling antelope typically, or arid areas, unlike their cousins, the eland, the largest of the antelope species. They do spread right up to the northern Kruger. And then, of course, if you go further north into Africa, you get a different subspecies of Nyala, one that I have never seen, towards the sort of the more northern parts of Africa, and that is something I would love to see. Maybe one day. Alright, well, we travel through the river systems of Djuma to see what else we can find hiding in the vegetation. There is no better way to experience the bush than on foot. Let's head back out with Steph and see what we can see.
We're not quite in a riverbed. We're standing out here in the open, but we are on a bushwalk, and we are in the middle of the Kruger National Park here at Djuma Private Game Reserve, exactly the same place that Brent and Jamie is driving around. And I've just cooked an egg in a piece of orange skin on top of an elephant dung fire. And although it tastes quite nice still in my mouth, I've got this itching sensation that I want to clean my teeth and get rid of some of the grittiness that I feel. Got just the thing for it, in actual fact. This is a leadwood that an elephant has decided that he's going to utilize for some food, but he's left the bark. And the bark of a leadwood is incredibly good for toothpaste. Yes, you heard me, toothpaste. Why? Because its ash is very coarse. So you burn it, take a little bit, you burn it, and the ash, you can see there on my finger, quite coarse. I'm going to try and rub some off. While I do, walk with me, I'm going to go find the rest of my toiletries kit out here. Mother Nature providing everything. I'm going to put some of this ash on my teeth as we speak. Should take away from my brilliant white smile. Alright, and here we are coming to what we use for toothpicks. These acacia thorns, they look quite vicious. They are quite vicious. But you can use this, just break off the very sharp point. There we go. You can shave it a little bit, I'm sure, just to make sure that it has got a nice even point. There we go. Look at that, sharpest toothpick. So we can use that just to get, you know, all that little bit and pieces of bark and things. All right, now we're going to walk around this side and I'm going to make you a toothbrush because that's the most important part. All right, we have to pick a suitable piece of branch. This is a magic guari tree, and magic guari trees make the best toothbrushes. All right, so here we go. Lop off a suitable end. You know, I like to give it a little bit of a bend in the end over there. It just makes reaching those far to reach places in the back of your mouth a little bit easier. Shave off the bark. Cross hatch the stem, as you can see there, just cross hatching it a little bit. Then, lucky for me, I have one of these, but squash the fibers a little bit. Clean out the dead insects, because that obviously won't go too far to making your mouth even cleaner. There we go. And voila. There is your bush toothbrush to clean out all the bits and pieces of egg. Here we go. The more you use it, the more the fibers come out, and the better the cleaning gets. Alright, now I just need to find some mouthwash, eh? On that note, off we go to James in his tent.
Kevin, stop it! This is Kevin, everybody. He's my kudu friend, but he's quite vicious, and he's much related to the nyala that Jamie was showing you. He is a kudu, and the largest version of the spiral-horned antelope that we get here. And that is what's going on here. Obviously, he wasn't really trying to kill me. He's dead. And on him, you can see much in the way of keratin, totally indigestible stuff, except if you happen to be a keratophagous moth, which is what these little things here are. And I think all these moths have disappeared. And even inside, once you get beyond the keratin, you can see the bone here is being eaten by various bits and pieces, probably largely by a fungus. Now, I have a few more little things to show you. The fossicker in chief, despite the tremendous wind, has found us a minute little creature to show you. There, go outside, you're not behaving yourself. We'll let him back in, everybody. We're just going to remove from here a slightly chilled praying mantis. Now, this mantis, everybody, is going to be almost invisible to your naked eye until we put him on the microscope. He is so small that I don't even know if Dave will be able to show him to you. You see him, Dave?
Only just.
Just there. Now what we're going to do is put him under the microscope and hopefully see him. And there he is. Look at that. How cool is that? He's tiny. He's only about a centimeter long, you know. Look at his little feelers. He's now got his vicious little mouth parts cleaning there. I wonder if he's a male perhaps. And as Steph was saying today, all of these mantis species are incredibly well designed for being hidden on the host-specific plant on which they are born. Righty, now we're going to head off to a break now. I'm going to probably set this fellow free. Of course, he's going to have his head bitten off by a female at some stage. Don't go anywhere. We'll be going back to the lions and various other exciting things shortly. All right, we're still here with you, everybody. Wasn't it an amazing little mantis here from our Fossicker-in-Chief? I don't know if any of you have met our Fossicker-in-Chief. Fossicker, have you found anything else? Not? Not. Here she is, the Fossicker-in-Chief. And where's your net? Let's have a look at it.
Nomsa is over here.
No, Nomsa, the net, is just over here, and the Fossicker-in-Chief, Taylor McCurdy, is going to show you how it is that she managed to catch this tiny little mantis. It's a very sophisticated piece of equipment. Yes, and would you show us the action? Would you? Yes. Now, would you show us the action that you took?
But it's quite a big action.
It's a big action. Will you have space? Off you go. And go. That is how she caught this remarkable mantis. Well done. That was an exceptional performance. Now, if you could go back and do some more, that would be marvellous. Right. One or two other things in here that I think are quite interesting. The first is a piece of quartz. Now, quartz is largely silica, if I'm not mistaken, and much of the rock in this particular area is this silica. So let's have a look at it under the microscope, and it looks like diamonds. I remember my brother and I, as children, used to find these things all over Johannesburg and assume that we'd find diamonds. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Gorgeous crystals of silica. Some of them a little bit dirty. I wonder the history, though, of the individual molecules or crystals in this particular stone and the incredible history that it leads to, because of course, if you come back to me now, this low-felt area is not young, and indeed given the lack of big game species right now, I think I should probably draw you a little map. I should subject you to my artistry. This area, everybody, is many billions of years old. Now we know the Earth, of course, is roughly 4.5 billion years old. That's 4,000, excuse me, we will fetch that, everybody. Now what I want to show you is just a little bit about this area because it's ancient. The soil here is deeply, deeply ancient. In fact, it has been so long since there's been any volcanic activity in this area. We'll quickly draw this and then we'll explain it to the TV audience as well. We've got more mountains here. That's slightly disastrous in the wind, but we're going to give it a go anyway. We're going to be stoic about it, David. Right, this is the Drakensberg Mountains, everybody. Drakensberg. And Rebecca loves this sound, let's not forget. That's the Lobombo. There we are, that's the Lobombo. And then the Kruger National Park lies something like this. There we are, like a boot. That's magnificent, David. And now, of course, we must draw the people. There we go. This is where people live. There we are. That's very nice. And it is quite a nice, I think it's beautiful now. Right. We're going to hold off that, I think, because I'm told that there are elephants heading towards the Djuma Pan. Come and have a look here. Check this out. Come, David. Have a look at the rover feed. Is that not gorgeous? Oh, wow. There we go, a whole huge herd of elephants coming up now. And here comes one round to the rover. Oh dear, oh dear, oh, oh. Ronald, you're in mortal danger. Goodness gracious me, this is incredible. Everybody, 30 seconds to the television audience. I do so desperately hope that they're still going to be here. I'm sure these elephants are going to be here. Look at them all coming round here. This is fantastic. There are elephants everywhere. Ronald, be brave. Oh.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back, everybody. Look at this. You're looking at Ronald's view of the elephants. You're on a live safari in the middle of the Kruger National Park here, and we're looking at elephants at basically, I suppose, mongoose eye view height. There's a whole herd here sitting at the dam camera, and I'm going to give you a quick look at the dam. Let's have a quick look at the dam camera view. There we go. That's them all staring, all drinking around this wonderful pan. Now, I've got totally excited about all of this. You're on a live safari, western fringes of the iconic Kruger National Park in southern Africa. My name is James. Dave is on camera. Ronald is currently filming. He is inanimate, so don't worry for his safety. He is currently basically under the belly of an elephant, which I think is absolutely stunning. You might just be able to, no, you can't even see him. He's sort of on the left-hand side of the pan there. Out looking for lions is Jamie, looking for leopards is Brent, and, well, cooking various meals in the bush, Stefan Winterboer. Talk to us, please, hashtag Safari Live. You can give us your questions or your comments, and let's just marvel at what to me is an unspeakably wonderful sighting. Elephants drinking thirstily in the drought, a whole herd, and I'm dreadfully worried for the health of Ronald the Rover. And I can tell you, I don't think they've stood on him because they know he's there, not because they know what he is, but elephants are remarkably careful with their feet. Even when the smallest elephants are in the herd, what they do is that they will never stand on it, and you often watch a tiny little calf walking in amongst the feet of an elephant herd like this, and you think, oh goodness, they're going to stand on it, and they don't ever do that. And that's because they're so very careful. And that you can see, if you look right to the right hand bottom corner of your screen, you can see make out the nails perhaps. Let's go back to the Rover feed there if we can, and there you can see the nail of an elephant. And I'm pretty sure that it realizes there's something underneath its left back foot. This is spectacular. Now, what I would like you to notice from this particular angle, A, the size, B, these, oh my goodness, that was close. You can see the pad. Look at the shock absorbing function there. You don't see this in any other angle. Look how the shock absorbing function of that foot absorbs the mass of that enormous elephant. And we're told as well, we found this out yesterday actually, that you see the way it compresses and then uncompresses. That apparently pumps pumps blood, helps to pump blood back up into the top of the body. This is just too spectacular for words. So you're looking at the ankle joint of a very large elephant, everybody. One coming now past the right-hand side. They know this rover is here. It's not like they can't see it. It's probably about a foot off the ground anyway, but he's in mortal danger, is our Ronald. When this elephant takes a step back, ooh, just watch, look at the crinkles in the skin. An elephant is called a pachyderm, everyone, because of those wrinkles. And in the background there, just between the legs there, you can see another safari vehicle. And now you can see the rover in the damn camera view. Look at him. There is Ronald, everybody, between the legs of that elephant. That is too spectacular. That is just awesome. Look at him there. And now two bulls there having a little bit of a fight. I'm just going to ask that we maybe try and zoom out a little bit on the dam cam. And there they're moving off. They've had their drink. Now often what elephants will do is they'll drink quite quickly and then move off, unless they're going to play. Oh, watch out, Ronald. Let's go back to Ronald. Oh, Ronald. Look, that thing is basically standing on Ronald's front bonnet. He's terrified, everyone. But I think he's going to be okay. Look at the very fine particles of skin and the trunk. This is too wonderful. I cannot believe the incredible sighting we've had here. Look at them walking past there. They know he's there. They've avoided him completely on purpose. There's a trunk come. Oh, look at the nose coming to smell him. Look at the prehensile tip to the trunk. And they can smell Russian aftershave. Of course, this was put together by our very own Russian Alex. And Alex has very clearly attracted the elephants today. This is too wonderful. I can't believe how lucky we've been. Look at the tail there on the left-hand side. Very coarse, thick hairs. If that elephant sits down, Ronald's in real trouble. And look at the wind blowing across the surface of the water there. And a tiny little elephant there on the right-hand side, or left-hand side there, having a drink. Now let's see what happens with Ronald when they move off. So like I was saying, on a really hot day, which this hasn't been, what they would do is have a swim here. They'd hang around for a while and they'd probably have a swim like they did yesterday, but because of the wind, it's cooling the air quite nicely, they're now probably going to just disappear off into the drainage system, try and find some more green bush to eat as they eke out a living in these very dry times. And I showed you the drying landscape earlier, and how this water is a lifeline, a tonic for most of the animals out here. This has just been the most fantastic sighting. We've been so lucky. Here you can see just a few left and probably young bulls. There we are, that's definitely a young bull. And the way you can tell that, it's quite a nice view from Ronald here. If you look at Ronald's view there, you can see between the front legs there's no swelling, and it gives them the most tremendously humanoid feature. But elephants have what we call pectoral mammae, so just like human beings and just like primates, the mammae are between the front feet. And so with a young animal like that, you can easily tell if it's a bull or a cow by whether there is a swelling or not. So these are definitely two bulls, and you can see they've kicked some water onto the top right hand corner of Ronald's screen there. Now what we're going to do now, I'm just going to shift him slightly to the left. There we are. They're making a noise, you see, so they can't hear him moving. Ronald moved there, you see, and you can watch those two bulls now fighting from the background, or from the back. And that's just so totally normal for two young bulls. They're probably about 13 years old or so. And so just like young teenage human beings, they're getting a bit rambunctious as the afternoon falls, testing each other, seeing who's stronger. And there's a much bigger one coming in. That looks like a disciplinarian cow, I think. There she is, with the little one there, just seeking the protection of mum, trying to stay away from those bulls that are having a fight with each other. So the elephants of this area, the Kruger National Park, everyone, probably about 15,000 of them. That's a big bull at the back there that you can see. And this is a small section of them, and many of them have come into this area because of the water that's pumped in the Sabi Sand, this collection of private reserves that we are very fortunate enough to call home. What a spectacular sighting that was. Let's head across to Brent and find out what he has to show you.
So a slightly different version of the same elephants you were enjoying with little Ronald. I'm trying to see where exactly is Ronald. Oh, there we go, young one having a drink. Remember, this is live from the African bush. You are watching a young elephant suckle from its mom. Isn't this absolutely incredible? Remember, you can send us questions about these incredible animals by using the hashtag #SafariLive on Twitter. Isn't this just amazing? African elephants in the wild. This isn't a zoo. Look at that. It's a nice big cow, quite an old cow, probably in her 40s or so. And when the wind's blowing like this, you have to be a little bit cautious around the elephants. They can get a little bit upset. Isn't that just beautiful? Lovely light creeping through. Now, elephants don't have to drink every day, but if they have the option of drinking every day, they will. And they have to consume an incredible amount of vegetation on a daily basis to keep those massive frames well fed. And that means they have to feed throughout the heat of the day and the night. And one of their special adaptations for feeding through the heat of the day are those massive ears. It's a big air conditioning system. It can have about just under 2 gallons of blood in an adult elephant's ear. And when they flap it, it cools that blood down and sends it through to the rest of the body, helping them not to overheat. Because we do have temperatures that get well over 100 degrees Fahrenheit here during our summer months. Let's try to sneak a little bit closer. Oh, and we can see where Ronald is. Now, we're going to go between that elephant's legs as she's drinking there. It's quite a big herd. Now, if you have a look just between it, there's Ronald. Maybe be careful, Ronald, you might get stood on. Now, elephants are definitely one of my favorite animals to spend time with, especially these breeding herds. There's always something going on. And the social dynamics are probably quite complicated, and they do a lot of communication. And just remember, a lot of that communication is inaudible to us. But here we go, we've got 2 little Ellies, and I think Jamie's got something that's probably one of the only things in the bush that is cuter than a baby elephant. So let's go have a look.
I have got such a wonderful surprise for you all. Look what decided to pop out and come and feed off their buffalo carcass. The entire Nkuhuma pride and their magic little cubs. Isn't this absolutely spectacular? How lucky are we that we get to show you this across the corners of the globe, live from the middle of the African bush. What an absolutely incredible experience. My name is Jamie, and I'm going to be telling you a little bit more about the story to the Nkuhuma Pride, but not just yet. Let's take a moment to just soak in the incredible sighting that we have happening in front of us. Have you ever seen such precious little faces in all of your life? Aren't they just too cute? The picture of abject innocence at times, and yet at the same time, practicing those skills that are going to be so essential as they start to grow older. Look at them. Yay, stick. Look, Mama caught a stick. A fearsome predator. And this is what is so wonderful about lion cubs. Always busy, constantly playing. Get him! One day they will be fierce hunters of the different antelope species and buffalo out here in the African bush. But for now, they are just gambling little youngsters, playing with each other and keeping themselves very entertained. Got you. You pinned. And every now and again, the play gets a little bit too rough, and one of the lion cubs starts to yowl and complain, and I'm hoping that they will start to do that at some point. I'll give you a little bit of an example. Just have a look there quickly. We're almost going into the ad break, but one of them is stalking a bird at the back, or thinking about stalking a bird at the back. That is one brave bird. Or perhaps it will regret its decision, and perhaps it will not. It seems like a very interesting decision. We'll have to stay tuned and come back after the break to see whether or not our hapless Franklin makes it through. And for those of you watching on the internet, you don't have to miss one single moment of this very special sighting. Oh, bit of a growl there from the lioness. Mealtimes are always a rowdy experience in the Lion Pride. Sometimes there's a little bit of competition between the youngsters. And with their full bellies, there's plenty of time to play around. Just in case you're wondering what happened to the poor hapless Franklin, seems to have disappeared behind the buffalo. And I think the lion cubs might be practicing their hunting skills and creatures of instinct. I'm not sure they have it in them to catch a Franklin just yet, but you never know. I think that the Franklin knows that. That's why it doesn't feel too concerned about its proximity to gambling lion cubs. Now, as you know, we've been spending a little... That's a little bit big for you to tackle, little one. As you know, we've been visiting a couple of buffalo carcasses that have been killed not by lions but by the drought conditions. They have succumbed to it. But Haley, in this case, you wanted to know whether or not the lions took down this buffalo. We think that they did. It looks as though they did from the tracks. Little one, I'm not sure that's the best place to try and have a nibble. Now, interestingly enough, Haley, while we were on our way to the sighting, I did see two big buffalo bulls making their way back towards this particular area. Tail. I'm just waiting for them to see how that situation plays out. They're walking, they are downwind of the lions. In other words, the wind is blowing their scent to the lions, and even though they have full bellies, as they did before they killed this buffalo, there's still a chance that the Nkuhumas might try to catch them. Oh, what better place for a toilet break than a pile of buffalo stomach contents. Ashka, I actually started off this afternoon's sunset safari talking about the possibility that with such full bellies, the lionesses might decide it's prudent to move their cubs elsewhere, because yes, this buffalo will indeed attract hyenas. However, it would be a very brave hyena indeed that decided to take on the Nkuhuma sisterhood. They are seriously powerful lionesses, and nothing, well, no, that's not true, not nothing, but there are few things as terrifying as a protective female lion in full fury defending her youngsters. Yes, with maybe 10 or so hyenas, they could potentially chase the lions off this buffalo kill. The question is, would they gather the numbers, and is it worth the risk? With so many buffalo carcasses around the area, with so many animals succumbing to the effects of the drought, is it worth tangling with a lioness with cubs? I don't think so. I think it's unlikely that the Nkuhumas will lose this kill. There is always, of course, a massive advantage to having males at a kill site. Ooh, so brave. Indecision there. Am I going to hunt? Oh, no, I'm going to go flat. Rely on my camouflage, my predator-like reflexes, or just go to sleep. all gathered together in a pile at the back. They're growling at each other, and somebody looks exhausted at the same time. It's amazing to watch something that one of the viewers pointed out already, that the cubs' instinct as they start to feed, they really got that flat ears back, growling at the adults. The true courage of a little lion cub, just a couple of months old. It's so cute. They really are absolutely incredible, particularly in this afternoon light. And welcome back on your live safari experience here on Djuma Private Game Reserve. My name is Jamie and I would like to introduce you to the Nkuhuma Pride. But before I do, you'll be happy to know, those of you who were watching before the break, that the poor hapless Franklin managed to escape the attention of the cubs and is still every now and again popping into view. So, there he is. That is one brave bird, catching, I think, possibly insects that have been attracted to the carcass, and relying very heavily on its reflexes to keep it safe. So, there is one of 5 Nkuhuma ladies, and I'd love to tell you a little bit of their backstory. When I first started working here on Djuma, which was about just over a year ago now, the Nkuhumas were a pride 8 members strong. 5 adult females, 2 sub-adult female cubs, so they weren't quite fully grown, and 1 sub-adult male called Junior. In a tragic state of affairs, the Nkuhumas were caught up in the middle of a dramatic coalition takeover. So what I mean by that is that the dominant males in this area used to be a pair of males called the Matimba males. They were then thrown out by a group of 5 young males called the Birmingham Boys. Now, a male lion territorial takeover is a violent and dangerous process, and some of the victims of that particular takeover process were the Nkuhumas. They actually lost 2 adult females throughout last year, as well as 1 of their sub-adult female cubs. And Junior, their sub-adult male, was forced to flee, although he was at the stage where that was going to come naturally regardless. And what you're seeing now is the product of months of turmoil and then brave peace brokering by the females as they approached the Birmingham Boys and mated with them. And these are the products of the Birmingham Boy takeover. And they've got a few months to go before they're out of the woods. Their safety depends... Everybody has to fight for their place at the dinner table. But yes, their safety and their future entirely dependent on the Birmingham Boys. Now, Cecilia, you want to know at what age these cubs will be able to hunt, or what age will they start to hunt? And the answer is that they start to interfere, let's put it that way, at around 8 or 9 months of age. They get this idea that this is great fun and they want to help participate, and I have seen more than one hunt foiled by the bumbling inexperience of little lion cubs. By about 1.5 years too, they are significantly starting to learn to contribute, and by 2 years old then they really are a contributing member of the team. Amazing. There are so many fantastic things to see out here that we just don't know where to look. Let's go back over to Brent, who has found another bird of prey.
Welcome back. It seems like we've had all the bird luck today. This is a pale morph Warburg's eagle. So it seems like our magic quarry bush did bring us magic, but bird magic, not big cat magic today, but who knows what will happen tomorrow. So very interesting. We've got a pair of them up here in this dead knobthorn tree, and they're not enjoying this buffeting wind. You can see how the wind is really moving them about. So you have different color variations. This is the pale color variation. Sometimes you might have, in a breeding pair, you might have a dark morph and a light morph. But they are very, very monogamous. And they live for about 14 years. And they have an incredibly successful breeding rate, managing to rear about 80% of their little ones to adulthood. And they travel during our winter months up to the sort of savannas of the Sudan and Nigeria, Chad, and they feed up there. In this part of the world, about 40% of their diet is made up of reptiles. And they use the same nests over and over, and we're actually sitting near their nest. And it's not unusual that the nest might be taken over by another pair of Warburg's eagles once those depart, or be used by other birds during the time of the year that the Warburgs are not here. Now this nest has been here so long, you can see how high it is, that the road is actually named Warburg's Eagle Nest. So that's how long Warburg's eagles have been nesting here, many, many years. Hi, Ginny. Ginny would like to know whether the drought is affecting birds. Definitely certain species, Ginny, but if you're a predatory bird like a Warburg's, it's actually probably benefiting you. You can see your quarry a lot easier, especially when it comes to hunting little reptiles like skinks and lizards. Now, not that long ago, we were looking at another bird of prey that looked a bit bedraggled, like it's flown a very long way. And we think it's quite difficult because it was quite a long distance view that I've worked out which bird it was. And this one has come all the way from Ukraine and Asia, the bird we saw a bit earlier. And we could only tell from a flying, but it wasn't. There we go. It looked to me to be an immature steppe eagle. So flying from the steppes of Asia, Mongolia, Ukraine, Russia, all the way to summer in sunny South Africa. Now, as we know, it's not always about the big hairies and scaries, and Steph has an incredibly finely constructed little bit of an animal to show you.
We told you we were going to find you a hairy or a scary. Have a look at this. That is the exoskeleton of a scorpion. And we know that it's a dangerous scorpion because if you have a look at the tail and the pincers, you'll see that the tail is quite robust and the pincers are quite slender and elegant. And that is because this particular scorpion relies on its venom, or the potency of its venom, to subdue its prey. But have a look at what it did here. It got too big for its skin, it popped the lid open and then climbed out. Legs, pincers, sting and all. Have a look at that. Isn't it fantastic? Look at that sting in just such pristine condition. Now, we actually found where the owner of this particular skin, or this scorpion suit, lives. Come and have a look here with us. I'm going to try and not get stung here. Here we go. Have a look at that. There we go. That is the scorpion that is living inside of this exoskeleton. This is the olive thick-tailed scorpion. And you can see that beautiful olive color that it has, those banded legs, and its colors are actually pristine. And that's because it's just shed. It probably shed last night and is just hiding out underneath this leaf, waiting for its new skin to harden. And then it'll go out and hunt. And they hunt for insects, catching it with their pincers, and then subduing it with the venom. Now, these little scorpions are responsible for probably, I don't know, 60 to 70% of the scorpion stings out here. And that's because they like to live in the same wood that we make fires from. Isn't that fantastic? I just love looking at them. All right, we're going to leave him alone, covering up with a leaf, and we're going to go off to James in the tent.
Everybody, hello again. We've got a wonderful little thing here called a velvet ant. And a velvet ant is in fact a male wasp, a female wasp that is flightless. She has got a vicious little sting on her though. There she is. Sorry, right, there we are. We've got the microscope. There it is. Little velvet ant. How cool is that? That is amazing. And it's got a vicious, vicious little sting. And look, it's having a fight with our praying mantis. It was having a fight with our praying mantis. It's also trying to escape. We are going to release it, fear not. But just, they get quite big. This one is minuscule. He's only about 2.5 millimeters long. Or she is only 2.5 millimeters long. And that modified ovipositor that all wasps have, it is a wasp species, is vicious. And I've been stung by a few of them, and it's not very pleasant. This particular one, though, so little, I don't think it could do me any harm whatsoever. Anyway, look at those gorgeous little white markings. That's why it's called a velvet ant. He doesn't want to be on TV. Wonderful. As Steph was saying, not all about the hairies and scaries at all, is it? In this case, about a velvet ant and a praying mantis. Let's go back to what will be one day very hairy and terribly scary.
I'm not sure how scary she is right now. Perhaps the best description would be stuffed full of buffalo. But that James has raised a very, very important point for our new viewers, or the first time on your live safari. These are totally wild animals. However, they are incredibly used to the presence of the vehicles around them. We're about as much a part of their landscape as termite mounds and trees. And they've come to accept and we don't really interfere in their lives in any way. So just to clarify why we aren't being attacked, we're not on their menu. They would much rather feed off this buffalo carcass. The rest of the cubs have dashed off to safety, except for this ravenous individual that has decided to risk the wrath of the Nkuhuma lioness to continue to feed. And she chased off all of the other little cubs. They went dashing away as she growled and snarled at them. Now Liz in Australia, as we've seen the lion cubs decimating the sticks and plant life around the kill and chewing on them, you want to know if they go through a teething phase like puppies or kittens. And the answer, Liz, is yes, they do. If you thought they were troublemakers before, when they are getting new adult teeth that are sort of around, I think it's around 7 or so months old that they start to grow their permanent adult teeth, and then they really are constantly chewing on everything they can find, just like puppies and kittens that you have at home. And they need those powerful adult teeth to be able to catch, take down, and then consume buffalo. And one day they will be equipped with the weapons that this gorgeous lioness in front of us has. From her 1.5-inch long canines to her powerful razor-sharp claws, she's equipped to be a magnificent hunting machine, able to take down a buffalo that was probably 5 times their size. And Joyce in New Hampshire, for our last question before we have to say a goodbye to all of you. Joyce, you want to know if there are lionesses still pregnant, and yes, there are 5 lionesses in this pride. 3 of them are mothers. The other 2 have been mating with males recently. It's still a little bit early days for us to tell whether or not they are pregnant. We'll have to wait and see. That, of course, is the joy of Safari Live, because we will get to watch them as they give birth. We've been able to see some of the smallest cubs grow up from the day that they were maybe 10 or so days old. Just tiny little fluffy sausages. And the marvelous thing is, you might come out on a safari and see these lions once or twice. On Safari Live, you can follow their stories for weeks and months and years as they go through all their trials and tribulations and successes. Isn't that a truly phenomenal experience? And so we're sort of coming to the end of our live safari experience for now. And we're going to just enjoy the views of these incredible lions as they munch away on the buffalo carcass. It has been an absolute absolutely wonderful time spent entertaining you all. I hope you have enjoyed your experience and that perhaps it has sparked an interest in the amazing wildlife of Africa. And in particular, just because they are here in front of us, the wonderful lions of the Nkuhuma Pride and their 8 precious little cubs, wherever they may be. They have started to disappear. As night starts to fall, don't forget there's the 2 buffalo bulls wandering in towards the lionesses, so perhaps they will hunt once again tonight. Either way, we have been treated to one of the most magnificent spectacles that nature has to offer. A pride of lions vocalizing, calling, feeding, playing, and showing a great deal of affection to each other. And I hope that you will continue to join us on WildSafariLive.com so that you can continue to follow these amazing animals. For now, a goodbye and a massive thank you to all of you for joining us.